Hi, hello, welcome to this, our very first proper episode of After the War, which Kevin has lovingly named for us Earworm, for no particular reason, I'm sure. Nothing, no caution, no worry needs to be had by anyone here, not at all. Before we go around and say hi, hello to everyone, I am gonna just say a few words. Of course, we want to thank Genesis of Legend Publishing for this awesome game that we will be playing, and for asking us to do so. We are heckin' excited to play this game and to see all the awesome content coming out even as we are playing it. Lots of additional xenobiology and fun stuff like that. Don't forget to check it out for yourself at any point in time while we are playing. You can hit ! ATW and pull up the link in chat to check out this very cool game. Quick thank you to Roll20 who spotlights us as part of their Roll20 Spotlight program, which is heckin' cool and shows off folks playing indie games out there in the world. And just a reminder that we are playing this game and every game basically on this channel with safety tools. So ! Safety dance. People made me do that one. ! Safety dance will get you a link to safety tools. So get those, play games at your table with safety tools. They're always really great and help enhance your gameplay, quite honestly. It's the best way to play games. And just a quick reminder that this game does engage with some tough content. So at any point in time, you can also put ! ATWCW for the content warnings for this game in particular. To be aware of what sort of things we are engaging with. We are engaging with a bunch of interesting and dramatic, but also sometimes tough content. So we do just want everyone to be aware of that. So I think those are my main things. That being said, I'm going to put in the command for the cast. All these cool folks on stream, check them out. They do lots of cool stuff. Literally everyone here is out there in the world doing cool stuff. So please check out these cool folks. We're gonna go around and I forgot to ask Kevin, are we allowed to say like who we are? Real quick, we'll just say like our character name and stuff like that.
Character creation, right?
We did character creation. Y'all should already know this, but just in case, we'll tell you one more time. Okay? I'm not wearing these adorable ears for no reason, folks.
In character.
So my name is Jess. This is my channel. You can check me out, go_JG in all the places. And today I am playing. That is my cat. I don't know if you could. He has opinions. He has opinions. I'm not a cat person, despite these ears. I'm a space bear. I'll have you know. My name is Sink. The often extra Ursa, basically, and I am in fact a builder, a salvager, and a big fan of our little group who have I deemed my pack. All these faces here. So next up, let's say hi, hello to Viditia.
Hello, everybody. I'm Viditia. I use he, him pronouns, and I will be playing Private Vel, who uses he, they pronouns, but they're commonly called Grunt just around. Vel is a soldier, a Martian soldier, who belong to like the Titan division. So I have a really cool power armor, and I'm here on this little farming village, just trying to, protect it and figure out what to do with myself.
Heck yeah. Next up is Simon.
Hello, everybody. My name is Simon. My pronouns are he, him, and I. I'm going to be playing a belter, former revolutionary turns medic during the war, whose name is Cadenza. And I haven't figured out what their pronouns are yet, but I'll do it by the time we finish our introductions.
Awesome. Great. Next up is Dominique.
Hello, I'm Dominique. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm playing Orla, who also uses they, them pronouns.
and they are a Terran xenobiologist who has come to this farming, fishing, and logging village to make the native wildlife less, not less bad. That's like a value judgment. More good for us. I like the fish. We're selectively breeding fish in captivity to make them better for our community.
As you
Love
do.
that.
They weren't fishy enough. Or maybe they were too fishy, I don't know.
They were too fishy. I think the fish were too fishy, and I'm making them a little bit less fishy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
They need to
Good,
carry
good.
their weight.
Oh my god.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
Kevin. Hey, Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin. You can find me on places at _knack. I am playing everyone else. I'm playing the fallout of the world, the universe post-war with the song being a mimetic virus, of which the people who subscribe to the song, who subscribe to their Spotify and Bandcamp, are called the choir. And also I play the community being Barleymo, our small fishing colony out on this small island of Polvo. The community in which we fish, we log, and we farm. And with that, I think that is everything. And as Jeff said, we are engaging with some serious stuff. So please take care of yourselves. You can come back later. You can just not engage if you're not comfortable. Please take care of yourselves first. So I think what we start off with is we get a shot of a small dropship coming down from orbit, like the flames of atmosphere licking off the bottom hull as it comes in hot, and it slows down and it cruises over a large body of water. And then in the distance we see this small dot growing. It's a small island on which it sort of rises up into a caldera with forested edges around. We see the hints of some terraced farmed plains, step farms, and inside the caldera is a large lake, and around the rim is a deep, lush forest. And we see small buildings built around the outer edge of the caldera, and this dropship comes and lands on the beach, and out step a couple of folks, some looking like they're here to visit on business, some here looking like they're coming permanently in some sort of more comfortable work clothes, carrying some bags. And out off the deck of the ship steps a character that we will soon become very familiar with, which would be our new town doctor. What does our town doctor look like?
Yeah, so Cadenza steps out onto the dirt. I think the shot is like one boot just gently crunching slowly into the kind of moist soil of Polvo. And Cadenza is a belter. So I think let's use he, they pronouns. He is very tall as a belter, because they've had to live out they were born in space, and they've had to spend their entire lives out in space. So they're like 7 feet tall, I think, and long, still with a bit of an athletic vibe and build. They've obviously had to do some work to like maintain this physique, and they seem to like enjoy having a more athletic build. He is clearly got some melanin in his system, but it's has a bit of a tint, like a kind of bluish purple tint to it. His hair is completely shaved except for like a little bit of a tuft at the top that is very gray. He's in his late 30s, early 40s, wearing a body glove that has a flight suit over it, or a vac suit, really. So it's like sort of an exterior jumpsuit, a lot of clips and buckles and things like that. I think many belters, I presume, like very form-fitting clothing, but they don't like things that are loose, because that can get caught on vent hoods. It can get trapped. It can get pinched. People can use it against you in a fight. But clips and stuff you can grab onto things in 0G. And so the suit has a lot of that kind of utility. He's got a duffel bag slung over his shoulder, and like a heavy scarf. And he is slowly walking onto the surface of the planet, kind of trying to get his planet legs.
Right.
As the camera follows, like sort of pans up and out, following Cadenza down the street into the main thoroughfare of the town of Barleymo, as we know it. Sort of his clips jingling like a itinerant cowboy of another world, of an old world. We do see this long main street, and along one of the buildings on the second floor, looking down, is an elderly gentleman, large build, like wide, broad shoulders, big beard, shaved head, standing there with a cup of coffee, looking down, watching as Cadenza walks up the street, watching the newcomers in town. And we folks who live here know this gentleman is Peter. And Peter has sort of taken a moment to watch the newcomers and then turns back over to the local security expert, our friend Private Vel. What does Private Vel look like as they are sort of having a morning debrief with the governor of Barleymo?
Okay, so Vel's Martian. So I guess probably like kind of similar in stature to like a Terran, like an Earther, right? Probably not. So that's not too much, but Vel's like definitely out of power armor, and when out of power armor is usually wearing what I keep wanting to say combat slacks, but I don't think that's a thing. But
Make
yeah,
it a thing. Make
it
it
is
a
now.
thing.
BDUs, battle dress uniforms.
yeah, exactly. Like is like Vel makes it a point of pride to be like, even in casuals, I am a soldier, right? Like especially for these like meetings, which isn't really that casual. Vel's is like dark skinned and short, like military cut. Maybe a little unruly now because he's been here for a little bit and hasn't maybe had a chance to like take care of it or whatever. But so it's growing in a little bit. But yeah. And I'm gonna give him like a lip scar. Like he's got some kind of something, right? Yeah, there we go.
I forgot to mention also that Cadenza we talked about this in the last session. Has like some facial scarring as well. I think it's definitely a lot more noticeable than Vel's, as well as a cyber eye. Let's say it's the left one.
Yeah. Important to note though, Vela's like I think like 23 or something, like very young, and looks it like you can kind of tell like, oh, that's like a kid, but also still has like that, you know, like is buff and kind of looks a little vacant in that kind of you just spent most of your life in like camps, you know, look.
Yeah, like I believe we had spoken about Martians having like a little bit of a different complexion living inside of Habs. You know?
Yeah, I'm like trying to think about like what that would look like, but I like to think that Vel is pretty dark skinned on like
Maybe there's like a different sheen because it's probably like artificial light a lot of the time.
That's what I'm thinking also.
Maybe instead of like natural, like what would be like red undertones for like having lived on Earth, maybe it's something more of like a magenta, like a little bit more of a purple hued undertones. So it's like you can only tell if you're like speaking like face to face a couple feet away from each other, but at a distance it might not be as clear.
Yeah.
All right. And do we see your suit parked outside?
Of course hotel? You do. Yeah. It's right there. It sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, how do we imagine? We didn't talk about this last time, but like, how do we imagine the architecture. Sorry, this is of our buildings.
I imagine with being a lumber town, partially, it's a lot of wood, like
Okay.
a lot of like sort of local indigenous wood.
I'm
used.
thinking like A-frame, like split log cabins.
Oh,
I'm
that's
thinking
fun.
I'm thinking it's a few different styles. Like I'm imagining that like it is predominantly wood because like as you said,
Yeah.
but it's also like it's a mix of like some folks bringing in their type of building
yeah.
here, but then also, you know, having to modify and accommodate the materials, being like, oh, the way I would normally build doesn't work with this like local lumber. I need to like, so I feel like there's almost like the older buildings look a little more like rickety because they didn't work as well with the lumber, and so now we've like kind of figured it out, and the newer ones are a little bigger and more sturdy. Like
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm asking mostly because like then the power armor like sticks out like crazy. Like it's
Yeah.
like I kind of imagine it as it kind of looks like Mass Effect-y. Like so it's chunky but angular, so it's not like, you know, wiry and cabley and kind of filled with junk. It's still like sleek but really bulky. Very geometric.
How well maintained is the power suit? Do you clean it every day? Do you do your ritual of cleaning it, or is it kind
Oh
of
yeah,
battle worn and like a little dirty?
well, no, it wouldn't be battle worn because it has never seen the light of battle.
This is true. Yeah.
And definitely like, you know, they'll probably like dress it as often as they can.
Oh, so you got it fresh off the factory line too. This wasn't like hand me down from like the quartermaster, like the last guy who used this doesn't need it anymore.
That's an interesting point. I don't know. Maybe that could be an interesting point later. So I'm gonna put a pin in it and say like I might think.
Cool.
On that. Yeah.
So we just know that it's well maintained and
Yes,
like
that it's
it's,
well-maintained.
it's not like muddy or anything like that.
Mhm.
Okay. And as Pedor turns to you and like starts talking, like, yeah, I would like you to please check in with some of the newcomers, make sure they are well acquainted, and like we sort of pan out and like it fades away, and we sort of we do see as we go back down to the street level, we see, let's see, who's my next NPC to introduce here? I think we look at, sorry, let me find the right of my 7 million tabs here.
You've dug your grave, Kevin.
I have, and I'm comfortable in it. It is snug.
Give me
The
a s-
mini tab lifestyle.
Yeah.
impossible.
I think we see sort of leaving the general store. It would be like walking out of the general store. We see another large figure who uses who's got a beard, but it's a lot more well trimmed. It's maintained pretty tightly. They large frame, sort of broad shoulders, almost like a mirror to Peter. He walks out. He's carrying a couple books, and he walks out alongside of a large bear. What does our friend Sank look like?
so Sank looks like, I mean, if you've been to a planet called Earth, you might think of a bear. However, Sank is an alien race of bear, hyper social bear-like people, and she is mostly has a dark brown fur. She has a black patch of fur on her back, and then she has black kind of like paws both on her feet and her hands. But you can't see that right now because she's also wearing like these big kind of like sturdy gloves and boots. But the boots are actually like open to allow for like claws if needed. And the gloves do move to allow for that as well. And she has these lines of like pink fur just under her eyes, kind of like just like almost somewhere in between like that football paint and like almost like blush. Like it's somewhere like you don't know which it's for. Like this could either be cute or practical. Like it's not clear. And she looks large compared to a lot of humanoid folk, but is actually fairly small for an Ursa. And actually has kind of a wrap thing on that, like, it's wrapped up kind of like thin right now, but can be kind of like pulled to cover more so that if she's working, she can cover her fur and doesn't have to worry about it getting caught in anything. Like, just for safety, just you gotta be safe out there working in, you know, there's a lot of tough stuff on this planet that we live on. There's a lot of things that want to fight back when you fight it. Like, a lot of stuff. So yeah, I think she's probably however much stuff that big man is carrying, Sink is carrying more, and just very casually.
Yeah, I believe Sing's partner might have asked you to come along, or Nassim's partner might have asked you to come along with them to the store and help carry some sundry that might have been too much for Nassim alone, despite his size. Are you are you quadruped or biped right now? I know you switch.
Yeah, Sink switches. Sink does have like the boots on hands and feet because she does walk like that, but when carrying stuff she kind of like toddles along on like, and it's kind of this like, there's literally like a whole her whole body shifts when she moves because it's definitely kind of awkward, and if anything comes at her too quickly she might go back down to all four.
Gotcha. And I think as we watch Sank strut down the thoroughfare not far behind but Cadenza, we do hear some laughter, some light laughter, and we pan over quickly to the side and we see a couple sitting in front of a cafe having some brunch, relaxing before they go to work. We see a young woman who's got probably, you know what? Why don't you tell me what a Daisy looks like, Dominique?
Ooh, I imagine that Adeze and Orla are one of those couples that over the course of their relationship gradually look more and more alike. I think
You share the wardrobe.
Yeah, I think we are like similar in size because Adeze is Martian and Orla is Terran. So I think we're both around like 5'5"-ish. And Jess, I see your request, but I can't type and talk at the same time. And I think that Adeze has like short curly hair that's kind of like neatly cropped and dark skin and like light brown eyes, and is someone who I don't know if like beauty standards have changed, but I think by like a 21st century Earth like standard, she just has like a face that you would think is pretty. I'm being a wife guy is what I'm doing. I'm being a wife guy right now. This is my fiance and I love her. Yeah.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is great.
Speaking of this young beautiful woman, she sort of is laughing and like she sort of reaches over and holds the hand of another young woman. And what does Ola look like?
Orla
Orla.
is also has short hair, but I think a little bit longer than Adeze's, and like curly hair, and I think is like of a stronger build than Adeze with like broader shoulders and maybe like half an inch or so taller, but also has dark skin. Although I think that, and we talked about this in reference to Vel, I think that Adeze's complexion would be different because she grew up on Mars.
Yeah.
But I think like similar Earth evolutionary background, different expression of melanin based on like circumstances of growing up. And I think that Orla has I want to join the facial scar club. I want a facial scar now.
Fuck yeah.
I think that Orla has like an eyebrow scar that was from it's from a fishing hook. It was a fishing hook. She got caught with a fishing hook in the face.
Ooh, that sounds
And
nasty.
it like barely missed their eye. Yeah.
Okay. I love that.
Does Sank wish they had a facial scar to fit in with the rest of the pack?
Sank has several scars, you just can't see it under the fur.
Oh.
It's like, no, I'm kidding.
We talk about battle scars and say it's like
No.
amateur hour.
Sank has a lot of like baby bear scars from like wrestling other
Oh, that's nice.
bears when they were young, but
Precious.
then they haven't had an Ursa family in a long time, so they don't have any. Like, it's only very small, very old ones. They don't have any from. They missed the war. They haven't had other Ursa to like wrestle with, so they mostly are just like kind of plain now.
Okay. And as we see as we have sort of panned over the main cast of this hypothetical show, the camera sort of pans out and takes in the whole caldera again, and we get the space banjo of this frontier settlement. And we cut to a little bit further in the future as Cadenza gets a little bit settled, like maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month at most, not too far after. And we are going to go, for those of you who have the book and would like to follow along, we're going to do a day in the life. If you're planning on playing for multiple sessions, take time to learn more about the player characters. During this step, explore how the characters act on a normal day. The GM will establish simple two-player scenes using leading questions to give different characters a chance to interact. Some sample questions, maybe. And let me see here. Let's get a couple axes going. I would like to know, what significant gift has Sank come to offer Private Vel?
Ooh.
So to set up this...
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I mean, for some frame of reference, setting up a scene means setting up in the environment and the context. I think what it looks like is a small, like sort of like the town of Barleymow allowed some of the new folks that they knew a big like group of folks was coming in. They knew a ship was coming by to drop off some folks, and they let them settle in. But then now they want to have like a kind of celebration and welcoming, a little mixer, like a barn, a hoedown. I don't know, it's something. In like some large grain like facility, they keep a sorry.
No, go on. Sorry.
They like set it up. They get a small stage done up. They get like some lights going, and they get chairs and punch, and somebody spikes the punch, of course. And it's like a small gathering where some folks are mingling. The new folks are getting to meet the old folks. Some they're getting some news maybe they haven't had access to. And I think Sank, you have something for Private Vel.
Wait, I did remember what I wanted to say. Is Big Tim's big enough to house a hoedown?
You know what? It is. This is Big Tim's. I think Big Tim's is a former grain factory, and like when he moved in, the last owner mysteriously left. People don't know why.
Oh. Dude, Big Tim's totally killed that owner. All right.
That's the rumor.
The rumor.
Nobody wants Big Tim to hear. Nobody says the rumor around Big Tim, but Big Tim's is holding this mixer, and it's in this large former grain silo, and there's a band of some local folks performing. One of them's hell. I'm just gonna lean in. One of them's got like a cello bow playing on a saw, and one of them's got a washboard. And and we get that continuation of from the intro, the intro space banjo like smoothly transitions into this space banjo.
Oh
yeah, I don't know about that. That's interesting. So we're assuming that this is earlier, like we're flashing back to when because you said this is Sync giving Vel something, right? So is this like when Vel was still fairly new here?
I think it's pretty current. You just happen to have
Okay.
a gift for Vel. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there's other new folk here, but forget about them. I have a present for Vel.
Yeah, you
Cool.
this happens to be a big mixer. You know Vel's gonna be here. You thought, hey, might as well.
Okay. Okay. So I'm coming over on all fours. Sync is coming over. And she does mostly prefer to walk on all fours. She's quadrupedal. But then stands up when she gets to Vel. Not too tall though, because she's discovered that humanoids don't like that when she goes up to her full height.
Yeah.
So she kind of does a little bit of a bear squat, like kind of half down, like to sit in front of you. And then from inside, like the wrap that she keeps around her, she starts pulling out like some metal stuff. And she's like, hey, so found this stuff and looks like, you know, it might work for you since you have that suit thing and you're one of the only ones that likes this kind of stuff. You know, it's not very useful to us at the lumber mill.
Okay.
You like metal. I've seen it.
Yeah. Thanks. I think like Vel's very distracted, right? Is not happy with this whole shindig, right?
Yeah.
And it's so like kind of there, like very on duty kind of looking. So like you come up and I'm like, what? No, this is okay. Yeah. No, the thanks. Yeah, I do like metal. You're right. As I like kind of shoulder my rifle that I have on me, like I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm here for it.
Sank does not pick up that you're not paying attention to her, and she like starts like pressing it into you, like.
Okay. All right. I like kind of look around to see if there's like a table next to me or some shit, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'll I can't really put this with my stuff right now, but I'll so I like grab it and then I'm like holding on to it. Wait, so it's just assorted stuff, or
well, because we've talked about you know, on our session 0.5, which should have like recorded and podcasted that stuff for all y'all's secret after the war fans wanting that extra bonus content, but we did discuss the landscape here and that there was some like debris kind of on the outside of the caldera. Right, more on that part. So I'm thinking that like Sank had to go out for something else, as she does like do some scavenging, collecting, and building stuff, and specifically picked out stuff that was of a similar color to your power suit. Was like, oh, this looks like it belongs to that, and like maybe like this looks like it could power, like this looks like maybe like a battery, something like that.
Yeah. I think like again, I'm just double checking my beliefs and your beliefs. I just want to see if there's anything going on there. But yeah, I think like for like a brief moment, Vel is like kind of like actually sees it and like kind of holds it in his hands and is like, okay, yeah. And there's like a little bit of a crack to the demeanor. I was like, all right, thank you. I appreciate this. Thanks for that. But you know, I have to. I'm on duty right now, right? You know that.
Right, and I'm gonna. So Sank kind of gets up a little bit, back on all fours, and then like backs up so that their back is in the same direction as your back, and then sits their bare butt back down, and then looks at the room very seriously, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Duty.
Dude, yeah. You got it. I'm assuming like I'm gonna like rub your back or something and be like, okay. Or like pat you on the shoulder is probably more appropriate.
I'm gonna assume that's confirmation, and I'm gonna like I'm gonna puff out. Like I'm gonna
Oh my god. uh Vel, I think like Vel doesn't say anything else, but that doesn't mean like they don't appreciate it or anything. It's just like, cool, this is ideal. You know, this is an ideal hangout.
Are
Yeah.
you wearing your power armor?
No, I don't think I would be wearing it indoors.
Okay.
It's probably like outside and within reach, like if I needed to. But like Vel is 100% armed. You know,
We're just
You
like
don't wear your full
at-
power armor when you go to a party?
it's the only suit I own. There's a black tie event. Imagine Hoedown with a power armor. I'd break the dance floor.
I think one of the new folks who had arrived along with Cadenza like kind of approaches Vel like sort of interrupt, like not wanting to interrupt, but like sees you two are having a moment, but like sees like that you've got a break in the moment, and like comes up and says, Vel, right, you're head of security, the music I mean, you know, right?
Yeah, I know. I
mean-
brought it up. I would think Vel's like the head of security does not have Vel wouldn't say that. Sorry, I wouldn't be like, I don't have as much power as I do actually. They get one. It's like we've argued about it constantly.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw this out, so tell me if you don't want this in the world, but they get one song.
Yeah, this is the one song every
Mhm.
event, just
Yeah.
like to get people going. Like
What if it's like a 13-minute long song?
no, yeah, it's some stairway shit. like oh, we got one. Okay.
Well, and
Yeah.
is it also, as you were describing it, as like it was these very bare bones instruments, because instruments
Yes.
aren't really a thing. It's mocked
Yeah.
together, like you said, it's a saw and a washboard.
Yeah.
It's things
Exactly.
that have like no actual mechanical musical capability, like because
Right.
that would be
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Like getting
like-
around
The space banjo.
getting around the strictures.
Yes.
The space
Uh,
banjo is like a shoebox with a couple fishing lines. Like really.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
If I can like sort of take a director moment, like as you're saying, we fought about it. Like we see Vel maybe eyeing across the hall, like eyeing Big Tim, and Big Tim like looks and has like a big fuck off grin. I know what
oh yeah, no, it's like it's super bad. Like, and I think because Vel's been here for a little bit, and it like probably was a huge thing. Like Vel made a huge thing. It's like he deployed with a bunch of other people and like was like, this is a like what are you talking about? Like pastime, downtime, like tradition, like whatever, you know. And it probably goes into like, it's like, oh, the war is over or something like that, right? Tim's
Mhm.
probably got some weird, like it probably, it's like throwing out things, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
And I feel like is it even almost additionally worse for Vel, because like there are new people here, so
Mhm.
like
Oh,
there's already reason to be suspicious.
Yeah.
And Big Tim is absolutely flexing like his like sort of local unofficial power. Like he's got this social clout.
Yeah.
Big damn.
God damn it, Peg Tim.
It's like just enough to kind of get you to like kind of tap your feet and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but nothing
Oh.
like a little bit, and you're like no.
We see another like a couple of the newcomers, like the husband like starts tapping his foot, and like their partner like sort of like jabs him in the side. What are you doing? Cut that out."
Yeah, like don't like.
And to be explicit for the folks at home, have the war with the song, the mimetic virus of the choir. As a result of that, post-war, there is the law of silence. While music and musicians are not banned as such in most places, they're roundly frowned upon. Musical recordings played aloud are rare, concerts are mostly non-existent. So it's more of a culture, it's a taboo rather than a law proper. That music, because music is so tied to that trauma of the war and the enemy force, the opposition. It's been like sort of, for the most part, excised. But as we know in real life, in all things, there is no like sort of all-encompassing truth to anything. There's always exceptions to everything.
Yeah. And so like I think the big argument that Vel was having was like Big Tim would Vel's probably telling these people it's like we in a way this is in a way this is a way to welcome you and to or like kind of through gritted teeth is like this is a way to let you know that this is a safe space and a place where you don't need to worry about what happened before. Please enjoy yourself. And like almost like not breaking eye contact with Big Tim, like not talking to this person, is just all like you should go and have a good time.
Okay. I think they just leave.
Yeah, I think no, Vel like 100% just kind of goes right back to holding the fort.
Oh no, like they leave the hoedown. They're like,
straight
no,
up.
this is like that wasn't the satisfactory answer. I'm getting the hell out of here.
I was 100% fine with that.
All right, my Adobe has crashed, so let me just open this back up real quick.
Oh, yikes.
All
In the
right.
meantime, we can talk about how cute Senk is.
Yes.
It's very cute.
What does Sank dance like?
Oh my god.
Sync doesn't dance.
Sank don't dance?
I'm pretty sure like in the in the story the Urson planet was hit very hard by the song, and that's part of the reason why she doesn't have family. I think she only had a very short period of time where she was with other Urson or Ursa, and it's basically been, either banned or taboo for the whole rest of the time. So I don't think Sank dances or sings, but I think Sank counts along with the beat and it's just like 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Because if you know, Ursa really loved the number 4.
You're just counting out the measures.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really sadly cute.
That's adorable.
Enjoying little taboos.
You are much better at multiples of 4 than I am.
I know, right?
I was like, how much multiplication can Jess sustainably do? More than me. More than me is the answer.
Is the answer. Little do you know, Jess is written.
I pulled up a table. I cheated.
Oh my god!
You just have like a
I
thing.
pulled up a multiplication table.
Oh my god.
Oh,
The deceit, the lies.
I can't.
Listen, I had to be prepared.
As a former educator, I'm here to tell you that there are 2 ways of knowing something: knowing it outright and knowing how to find the information that you need.
Yeah.
Both are equally valid and necessary.
Oh, thank God. All right.
I would like to know. Probably, we could keep with this scene, the setting, sort of the big mixer, or we can change it if y'all like. But what project are Cadenza and Orla working on together,
Ooh.
and what has complicated it?
What if it, because you are the doctor, so I'm trying to think, like, what if it involves like people becoming ill from eating something and trying to make that thing safe to eat?
Oh, like a fish or something that we're growing.
Yeah, like
And it's causing problems.
we're breeding a fish that it's like if you eat it, it causes some sort of issue, and we're trying to like breed that issue out of it.
Mm. Like an algae or something that it like.
Ooh, yes. Let's talk about algae. I love algae.
Let's talk about algae.
I don't know much about, I feel like I should have done more research about xenobiology and like biology in general to be able to play this character, but I don't know very much about like nature. So I think like, yeah, maybe it's like we're trying to figure out like, is there if you don't eat a certain part of the organism, then you don't have the illness that's associated with it, or maybe if you like prepare it in a certain way, or should we like selectively breed? Like, what do we do about this?
Well, let me pitch something to you, Vidizia. I'm not gonna show you the picture, but I'm gonna describe a creature.
Okay.
Bone eels are small aquatic animals which feed on the plankton and rainbow tides of the Polvan seas. Like all native species, they lack a backbone and use an exoskeleton to hold themselves together. What sets them apart is that their exoskeletons are made of flexible white cartilage, which allows them to swim like Terran herring or eels. Similar to many small prey fish on Earth, they travel in schools and are heavily harvested by fishers. So there's like a school of bone eels that were like harvesting either in the stew pot or on the coastline.
Okay.
And like this particular school is causing some kind of like, obviously they're not meant for human consumption in the first place, and we're trying to crossbreed them. And maybe this is like one of the few instances where like they're everywhere. Let's try and do something new. We're transplanting them from the ocean
into the stew pot,
because
then we
caldera.
can control the population if they're in the stew pot.
Right. And
Also,
in the process,
with
it's
the stew
caused
pot.
some other complication with digestion.
Yeah, I'm into it. Maybe like you eat it and then you get a rash.
Yeah.
Like a bad one, or just like
Maybe like
an
Always on the
inconvenience?
face.
like hives on the face and hands.
Yeah.
I guess like so it's like an allergic reaction kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Not deadly so, but inconvenient.
Yeah.
It's irritant and like
Talk to me
some,
about allergies.
anaphylactic shock.
Well, if you have to work with your hands like everybody does out here, it's gonna
Yeah.
stink.
Yeah, if you're like getting hives on your hands, then. But like this is an important food source. So like I guess the project we're working on is trying to find a fix for this.
Yeah. What has complicated it?
Ooh.
Let's see.
That's not complicated enough.
Yeah, isn't that already kind of complicated?
There's all of that eel, right? There's all that calcium in these things.
Well, that's the problem you're trying to solve already. What's the complication in trying to solve it?
Either interpersonal or with the project itself.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Maybe what is your like medical training like, Cadenza?
Oh, that's a great question. So Cadenza grew up dealing with issues of like space medical issues. So he did work with like people in cryopods, like the foster family that took him in after he was found on like a wreck. I think did a lot of work with people in cryo and like basic medical first aid stuff. And so like he has some early training in that, kind of let it go by the side during his years as a like resistance fighter on Mars. And then during the war, it was like, I have to learn how to save people's lives very quickly. So take my like technical expertise and put it into practical field medicine. So I think a lot of it is like first aid, like definitely some diagnostic stuff, but it's very informal and like on the job training. So maybe the part of the issue is like, I just don't have the expertise, the level of expertise necessary, or it looked like you had an idea too.
Yeah, I was going to take it in the direction of like a conflict with my belief, which is that one of my beliefs is that textbook knowledge is power, specifically textbook knowledge. And like, I only really value things that are learned like academically. So I'm thinking if your training is more experiential, then maybe whenever there is a hole in your knowledge, maybe because it's something that you haven't seen before or something that you weren't like comprehensively trained on, then I see that, even if I'm not seeing it as such, I see it as like indicative of your worth in some way.
Yeah.
And then we have like an interpersonal conflict where every time there's something that you don't know, I'm like, oh, I'm not mad, but I'm totally mad.
Yeah. So maybe we're at one of these labs outside of the stew pot, which is the caldera. I think it's interesting that we have wood buildings, and then if we could have like one or two, like a couple of prefabs.
Oh,
Yeah,
That'd be
totally.
cool.
specifically
yeah.
for like the
Have the
medical
just-
research and like the
Yeah.
xenobiology research, like those are brought in specifically for those, for like what's sanitary, like
Mhm.
sort of
Yeah, like
Yeah.
airdropped in.
Protocols.
When I asked that architecture question, I was kind of thinking that would also be an interesting thing, where like the scientific facilities are of different materials, are brought in from the outside. and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
everybody's jealous because that's where all the aircon is.
Oh yeah, for
Oh, that's
sure.
pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're like working in these lab spaces, and every time you like run something that you don't know, I'm like, oh well, it's like I think I'm more internally thinking this because I know that it's not polite to say, but internally I'm like, oh well, they must not have like read the right books or like had the right professors or like gone to the right seminars, and if they had done something differently in their life, then we wouldn't be in this situation. And just taking like no personal responsibility.
Maybe if you studied dermatology, like you should have on the battlefield.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Maybe if you like knew how hives work, then we wouldn't have this issue. But like you can like do battlefield amputations, which is totally badass. But I'm like, you don't know how anaphylaxis works, and that annoys me.
Right. Like, what do you mean I have to know how it works? You just stick them with the EpiPen and then rush them to the other meds, who to the other docs who know how to
There
deal
are
with
no
it.
other docs.
Oh, I love this.
I feel like that's where we pick the scene up, is like we've just had one of these little like the third snippy moment where I'm like, well, if you do this thing, then I just had this feeling. It stands to reason that if you do this and this, then this is probably how we should fix it. And you're just
Cite
like,
your sources.
yeah, right, seething.
Debate me.
I think Cadenza's like just standing with his hands on the counter of one of these labs, just like taking some deep breaths, and just says, like, turning just a hair towards Orla, "You have a problem with me?"
I have to think about how I'm going to answer that because I do, but I don't. I just think that maybe it would be better if we took some time and did some research and came back with maybe there are some papers we can read on similar issues that have been faced in different communities. Maybe if we just look it up and pull together a lit review and come back with some more comprehensive data, then we'll be in a better position to solve this problem later.
Oh, come off it, Burton. We don't have time to do peer-reviewed studies. People are sick now, okay? People are having outbreaks. We don't know if this allergic reaction is going to get more serious. We need to give them something that's going to keep them in business, working and gathering food and cutting down our wood so that we can all survive on this God's forsaken rock.
But everything that you're suggesting hasn't been tested or proven. Like, there's no way of knowing if you're just going to make things worse.
And it doesn't matter if it's going to cause one or two problems, if it's going to make these people feel a little better. Okay? I'm not saying we shouldn't go out and do these studies. I'm saying we got to do something about it now, because the longer we sit on our hands and talk about and compare, wave each other's degrees at each other, then the longer these people are going to go without help.
Well, I would not consider reading the literature to be sitting on one's hands. I think that is an actual useful way to spend time. And I think that maybe if we just, things are tense. What if we just knock off for the day, come back with some action items and pick it up tomorrow?
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I hate that I'm like this.
I
love this
Orla.
character.
Holy shit! I love Orla being like, let's break away.
Let's circle back. And,
and we'll come back.
I'll message you a recap of this conversation, so we're both on the same page.
Oh, it's so like we're having an argument. I'm gonna tell us to end is such an awful power move.
I think so. Like, Cadenza stands up to their full 7 foot.
Oh no!
7 foot is massive.
Oh,
Yes.
That's intense. Their full 7 foot height. Like the ceilings I think are high in here, but it's still like a little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But like he's not trying to intimidate you per se. He's just like, all right, that's how you want to do it. All right, Cap. I copy. We'll play it your way.
In character, I'm stoked. As myself, I feel so bad.
Oh yeah.
I think we hear like the hiss of like sort of not airlock, but like the decontamination section of this building come in, and like we hear a couple of steps, and we see Adeze walk in. Like they've got dry clothes, but their hair is sopping wet still. They just look like, hang on. They can feel the tension in the air. It's like, you know what? Nah. And they just walk away. And if you feel like that's a good scene if that's a good place to cut the scene, okay. Let's get another vertice.
That was fun.
I would like to see Cadenza and Sank. I would like to see you two interact. Let's see what's a good prompt. Just to get a sample of how you two might cross. Why has the behavior of Sank disturbed Cadenza?
Ooh.
Did you hear me counting rhythmically?
Maybe. I think is that a common tick that you have?
I think so, because I think it's one of the only ties she has, to being Ursa.
I think that probably is part of it, but I think what's more striking to Cadenza is Sank's everywhere, right? Sank's constantly trying to help people, and nobody is having any of it as far as Cadenza can tell. Maybe one or two people, I think Nassim, right? Nassim's the only person that you have a nice
Nassim's
relationship
one of
with.
the only people that's nice to Sank, from what we acknowledged. And it's not even people are actively mean. We've acknowledged that Sank trying to help Adeze is just a mess because Sank works so completely differently than Adeze does, right? It's not that there's any meanness there or hostility. It's just an absolute disconnect. Yeah. So Sank is everywhere trying to help everyone, and so you would definitely see her. You would see her helping with the farming. You would see her attempting to help with the fishing. You would see her helping to attempt with the lumber, with scrapping and scavenging, all of it.
I think there's a little bit of sympathy, oh well, you're just trying to do your best and nobody wants this. That upsets me. But the disturbing part is also the rhythmic counting in addition to that. So I think there's some kind of confrontation at some point, maybe while we're doing a similar task. I'm volunteering to do something that you're also doing.
Would you want to come out and see one of the downed ships? Is that something you'd be more likely to do, or are you more likely to, right? If we
maybe
we're
out, salvaging together because you're a scrapper.
And you're
and I know how to do that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm very good at it.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Yep.
Sank, do you scrap on your own, or is there a small work crew that you work with?
Both.
Both? Okay. On this case, are you alone, or do you have the crew?
I think this time I probably was going alone, but if Cadenza showed interest in wanting to come out, Sank would enthusiastically invite him.
Yeah. I just want to get to the lay of the land, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it's very, very different out there on the other side of the stew pot.
Yeah, you got to forgive me. This whole thing is. I feel like a fish out of water, you know?
Oh, are you okay? Fish
Oh
don't
my
usually
God.
survive out of water.
Oh my God.
It's funny you say that. I don't think you're far off.
I don't know who to tell the doctor to go to when the doctor's not doing good.
Yeah, well, story of my last 10 years, huh?
That's a real rough 10 years. Do you just need to sit down?
Well, I don't know if a little sit down is going to help the war, but
No.
maybe some
guess-
work will.
All right, well, come along. There's lots of stuff out there, you know. Never really done scrapping.
So we're like going down the stairs.
Never.
So we
Yeah.
for the viewers, we I love what we did with this whole like little space Downton Abbey thing. So we got on the island. There's the caldera at the top, and we call that the crown, is the forest that's at the top. The caldera itself we called the stew pot, which is where this like lake is, where we're getting fish. And then there's terraced farms that kind of are in the middle below that forest that we call the stairs, which is also where the settlement is. And then at the base, at the coast, where all these wrecked ships and stuff are, we called that the basement. And so we're going downstairs, by which we mean like past the farms and down to the coast where the wrecks are.
Yeah. We're heading all the way down. We should let folks know anytime you're heading down to the basement. You should always let folks know. Sometimes they act like I'm just bothering them, but it's really important to do.
Yeah, well, it's good that you have everyone looking out for each other.
Yeah. We're all a big pack here. I mean, slightly off-numbered, but that's okay.
It's okay to be odd-numbered.
Yeah, it's just not as good. It's just not as good.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Would Sync know how many people live in the town?
Sync counts actively. Sync also, I was going to ask if we knew how many folks came in on this recent ship, because if it wasn't a multiple of 4, like Sync would have been like, that's not good.
Yeah, it's like a bad omen.
Yeah, it's a bad omen. It's a bad omen when it's not a multiple of 4.
I fucking love that.
Zink regularly goes and speaks to Pitor about like the current count.
Yeah. Like it's actually not too bad right now that we're 2, because that's half of 4. So it's not too bad. Like it's not a bad number. It's not the best number, but it's not bad. Like, and Sank has had to learn to like live with their name is literally the wrong number.
Yeah.
So they've learned to live with it, but they like it. Like it makes them actively happy when she can have things in like multiples of 4.
I love that. I love you just like things like we have too many people. We have an odd number of people.
No, we have 2 short people.
We have 2 short people. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We need more.
It's
they're
good. It's
big.
good.
Yeah.
Or are they
Okay.
both big enough to count for 2 each?
Oh my God.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, yeah, so we're going down. There's only 2 of us, but that's okay. 4 sets of eyes. Real good. Find the best things. We're gonna...
4 sets of eyes?
4 total. 4 total eyes looking out, finding good stuff.
Yeah. You really do keep a good count of everything, don't you?
It's important. It's good to know what for.
Yeah. What for? I got you. I think we're like in the belly of like a ship at this point. We're like pulling things out. We've been at it for a little bit.
Pulling stuff out.
And Cadenza's like pausing at a terminal and like holding like a fistful of wires or something. I wasn't there. I haven't met a lot of Ursa, but I understand you had a bad way of it.
Yeah, I can't recall too much myself. For me, it kind of goes, we were all there together, and then we weren't anymore. You know, and then was some time with the Permancers. They were real good. They took me in. And then when they came here to help, I was one of the first ones here to help.
I'm glad you're here to help. It's just and he's like trying to like tap rhythmically, and like he gets 2 out and just flinches. The counting, you can't do that.
I can't count?
You keep a rhythm, you keep a meter.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, the 1, 2, 3, 4, you know.
No. 4, 8, 12, 16.
Okay, the point is that you're keeping it the way, you know, we had to change everything. We have whole fleets. I don't know how many belters you've met, but the Padres had to change all the hymns. It's just words. Even then, it's in time, but we'll know what that is, right?
I don't think I know.
The song's still out there.
But it's not here, right?
You got a bunch of people hooting and hollering, playing bastardized instruments.
Well, that's what Vel's looking out for.
It's doing a piss poor job then.
Oh, like Sank like puffs up and is like, no, he's not. He's doing a real good job. And you're welcome to be here and do a good job too. But that's, and like sits back on their butt, like sits back on their bare butt and like has to think about it for a second. You know a lot, and that's real good, and I'm glad you told me, and we'll keep working on it, and I'll do something different if I need to change it, and we should always look out. You're right, we gotta look out. Vel's looking out, now you're looking out too. You know, but Vel's not doing nothing wrong. Vel's looking out, like you're looking out, same thing.
Sure. And Cadenza like puts a few things in a backpack, I guess, and just like throws it on and goes, I'm glad you're here to help. You got a good head on your shoulders. There's some good people here, I'm sure. But I know what I saw. I've been through it. I know what I fought. I'm telling you, Vel can do a good job, and you can do a good job. But the minute, the second, the nanosecond, I see any one of these people is Choir, I'm burying them myself. My pack's full. And he shoves it up and he walks away.
Damn.
Angsty man.
Big fan.
Feels so bad being mean to Sank.
No, it's fair. Sank's not mad. Sank's just thinking now about what you said.
Oh no. What a
Thanks
special
wondering,
bean.
Is that 16 ounces or 32 ounces in your bag? All right, that seems like a good place to call that scene.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
one more, actually, is just to get to 4 out the square. Let's see. I would like to know, what debt does Vel owe Orla?
Ooh.
Ooh. Huh. My mind immediately goes to like Vel fucked with things that he shouldn't have.
Vel pulled a little Timmy.
Little
Vel pulled a
Timmy.
little Timmy. Yeah, a little, like, honestly, yeah, a little bit. Like I that I like messed with some equipment and stuff like that. But if you got something more interesting.
No, because now I'm imagining taking that and running with it. What if you like just like went for a casual dip in an isolated part of the stew pot that we were like actively doing experimentation on, and I'm like, oh, now you contaminated it because you like fully just walked into it.
Ooh, okay.
So that's something that you would do?
I'm trying to think, like, so I don't think Vel would like casually do that. Like Vel's not gonna be
Okay.
like, ooh, living over a little dip. But I know, but I actually I like that. I want to say maybe like, so a big thing with Vel, especially with my it's not my origin. I forgot what it's called. What's it called? My
Oh shoot.
the echoes. So like I'm like here, like I basically like know that there's a song here, right?
Yeah.
So I think like it maybe has to do with that. It's like kind of I imagine like Vel's story, like big quotes, is like I'm an authority of this town, but nobody listens to me enough, and I gotta find it out on my own. Like Vel's like, after hours, I'm out there in the woods, fucking, like doing detective,
looking for choir.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like that's where this happens. That's where the contamination happens. So it's like it's an isolated part, and Vel's like trying to figure stuff out. It's like listening and watching, and it's like maybe it's one of the goddamn scientists, and then probably I don't think he'll, like, again, I don't think he'll step into it on purpose, but like maybe I'm staking out or something, and then like I fall into it. So it's like kind of a double thing of like maybe I was like, oh no, Orla's gonna be like, what are you doing here? Like I'm
like working late, and I'm like, what was that? Excuse me.
Yeah. What was the prompt again exactly? I just want to make sure.
What debt does Vel
Okay, it was
owe
the
Orla?
debt. Yeah. So how does this go into?
I think what the debt could be is that like I don't tell anyone else.
Mhm.
But I think like if I ever needed anything from you, I can be like, hey, remember that one time you fucked up my science?
Ooh. Do you want to do? I'm kind of curious because I want to do a scene of maybe Orla like flexing a little.
Would that be
power on Vel.
fun?
Yeah, like in the middle, like casually, right? Like we're like talking to other people, and you're like, well, Vel, or I don't know. But
I feel like I wouldn't like fully say it to anyone else. I think I would say it like I think like if I tell other people that you like are what caused this experiment to like go poorly or whatever, then that takes away the power that I have. Where like right now I'm the only person who knows this. So I think I would say it in a very coded way where it'd be like, you know what I'm talking about, and no one else in this conversation knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I have a quick question just to set the scene if you want to play this out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is Vel single?
I think so.
Is Vel open to dating?
Is Vel?
I'm imagining that Adeze tries to set up Vel for like a double date.
Oh wow!
In that double date, maybe Orla kind of like hints as you like maybe do a faux pas or something.
I wonder did I set up a relationship with Adeze? I don't think so.
Let me double check.
It doesn't say in our notes.
We talked about you guys
Yep,
being in the what do we call it? The Martian Cultural Union.
Oh,
together?
there you go. Yeah. Because I was like,
Yes,
I knew
that's true.
There's a reason. Like I was like, because it would make sense. Like maybe Maybe
Yeah.
Daisy and I are like more casually close than
Yeah.
we are, but like we probably like work together more often than Daisy and I do. So okay, yeah, no, that makes sense to me. I think Vel's probably like, I don't need to socialize. Like that's just a distraction at Daisy. Daisy's like, no, fuck you. We're gonna go. I'm gonna put. You need friends. This is more.
We're already
like,
making dinner for 4. You better be there.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
So this is a scene at Orla and the Daisy's place. Either of yours or a shared place.
I think we live together.
Okay.
Mm.
And you're sitting around a table. There's like candlelight. And Vel, you tell me what your date looks like, whether they are to your sort of physical taste or not. Whether Daisy like sort of has you nailed down.
I mean, I think I would say like I think a Daisy understands me enough, or at least we kind of chat in the Martian community thing. I think it's I think they're probably like a belter who came in pretty recently and is like pretty in talking I don't yeah, probably like probably is like we'll say like is a guy. I think like a belter, but like kind of has the stature, like kind of has the is a strong man, you know. Is belter long, but also surprisingly belter wide, but also like surprisingly wide for a belter, you know. So that's probably like, or I was like, yeah, you see, like you can work out together and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you would the prompt, what was it that maybe prompted Orla to kind of lean on that leverage a little bit to manipulate Vel?
Does Orla want anything from me? I think like is this I might even like ask like, do you want to cash in the debt now, or is this like a scene where we're like canonizing it in the moment?
I think we're just like canonizing it, and I'm reinforcing that I have this power, mostly
Cool.
because I think that it would be fun to hold that back and be able to cash in on it further into the narrative.
Perfect.
Excited to see like where that goes with our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now I would just want to say something like subtle, just to be like, remember that I know this thing.
Mm-hmm. I also, I guess to set the scene a little bit, Vel is definitely a more quiet person and is like a noticeably nervous because this is not his scene, you know. Is probably like I don't know.
To play off that, I think the blind date, he is a little bit more social, a little bit more talkative.
Mm-hmm.
Asks about your workout regimen.
Oh my
And
God.
like you not reciprocating like sort of makes things a little awkward, and maybe a Daisy gives Orla a look like I mean,
oh, and it's now I have to intervene and do something because this dinner is becoming awkward and my fiance is upset. Trying to think like, well, what do you do in that situation? I think I would like change the subject and ask like what was everyone up to today? How have you guys been
Mm-hmm.
keeping yourselves busy?
Yeah, this probably is a good way to also like establish a little bit more of like a daily routine of what happens on Parliament. Yeah, I think Vel will probably finally be like, oh well, and then like gesture to the blind date. We did not give him a name. Yeah, have you made yourself at home? Where are you? Where have you been stationed?
Well, I've been stationed. They have me kind of doing some all-purpose stuff. I've been working over with shoot, what is his name? Big fella.
Pietro. No.
Piotr?
No, this is the character, sort of.
Oh,
not
okay.
Oh,
Not-
sorry. I
yeah,
thought
no, it's good. He, big guy, kind of a little darker skin, has a pretty nice beard. Works over in the lumber yard. He's like in charge over there.
Oh.
You know him, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. God damn it.
Oh, please don't tell them I forgot their name. I'm sorry.
This seems great.
The Seam, yes.
Yeah.
They have me kind of helping out over there for the time being. Kind of just this is the first time I've been out since I got here. What do you do? What?
Me? Vel's got like a glass of water. Like, me? I'm security, right? I'm out here. I'm protecting y'all. Doing what I gotta do.
So what's that like? Like you go on patrols and stuff?
We patrol. We were brought here because the wildlife is really real nasty, or it used to be more nasty than it is now, thanks to. And then like they'll kind of stands up a little bit. We're taking care of it. These two over there trying to tame it, change it. I'm just out here doing what we need to, surviving.
On hours and off. And there it is.
Oh, fine. Yeah, I think there'd be like, so I'm like, imagine this as like a TV show, right? I think like when you say that, there is like, I want to ask this to the table. Do you think we have like kind of like ambient music? Not in the scene, like in
Like if we were a TV show.
like a TV show,
Non-diegetic music.
Yeah, and then it like goes silent every time like something like that happens, or does like
non-diegetic music stop.
Yeah, and then or like does a music sting happen every time we kind of talk about the song? And like,
I think it is the other way, where it's like it's silent, except in those it's when it's like sort of diegetic music, but like it's the non-diegetic music, it's silent, and then when there's moments like that, that's when the music kicks in, because that's when things are tense, because music is like sort of the warning.
I like that.
Because in my head I'm like picturing the scene, and it's like Vel just dagger eyes Orla. It's like, oh no. I'm a diligent worker. I can't say otherwise, There are other things here. Music is just
I think I would like look at your date and be like, yeah, we all benefit from what Belle does. I feel like I'm being so shady in this episode. I'm sorry to everyone. I feel this is so not who I am as a person.
Oh, it's fine.
Role playing.
Yes.
Role playing.
It's an RPG.
And of course, the blind date doesn't like pick up on like the context there, and it's like, oh, that's so great that you help him. Like, it's super into it, and like it's like sort of like we kind of like we like pan out and fade out as like they started getting in more into the date. Whether it's a successful date or not, we might determine later. We'll see. But like we get to see like you like sort of flexing that leverage just to like make this interaction go well, if only for the sake of your partner. I think as we fade out with like that music that I imagine like it started with like hearing your pulse in your ear, and like there's like a little bit like light strings that went to it. We hear that like sort of fade out, and we cut to commercial as we are going to go to a break.
That transition was perfect, Kevin. That was beautiful.
We're going to take a quick 5-10 minute break. Please go stretch, get some water, get a snack, do everything you gotta. Take care of yourselves. We will be right back as we go do the same, and we will explore a little bit more of Barley Mow and its residents.
Heck yeah. See y'all in a few. Oh, hi. Hello. We are back from break.
Hello, friends.
Hello.
We are back. We are here to sing the Song of Angry Men. And, I don't know, Jean Valjean, something.
How dare you bring up musicals in this game?
Yeah, that's like legit cursed.
Yeah.
Like,
I am here to play the song, and I regret to inform you. So now that we have gone through like sort of the first day, quote unquote, of play, and like felt out how how these characters like interact with each other, established a couple sort of different connections and relationships, we are going to get into proper play. So in structure of play is divided into scenes and moments. Scenes are high energy dramatic events where characters focus on making meaningful choices. Each scene is established cooperatively by the GM and two players who will establish the starting situation together. After that, multiple characters will be involved in the action and conflicts are likely to occur. Moments are low energy interludes when one or two characters are emotionally vulnerable and explore the consequences of their choices. Moments have different mechanical and narrative effects, allowing you to discover more about the characters, change your beliefs, and have beliefs twisted by mimetic horrors or mourn those who are lost. As we establish scenes, the GM will create the platform, describing where and when the scene will occur. The platform is where you describe the environment, the scenery, that the platter characters will encounter. The GM then chooses one of the players to choose the tilt. The player creating the tilt describes an inciting incident of the scene that drives the characters to act. The tilt is the reason why we are paying attention to this scene rather than skipping over it. After creating the tilt, that player will choose another player to create the question. The player creating the question explains what they would like to discover during play. When you have answered the question, you can end the scene. Lastly, each player decides if their character will be in the scene as an actor or if they will sit out as an audience. Actors and audience having different responsibilities. Actors being the two main characters interacting as their player characters, Sank, Cadenza, Vel, Orla, or audience sort of acting in the meta, sort of interrogating the scene as on a meta level as players and sort of taking partial directorial stance, or also taking the place of NPCs. We will get into that as need be. Let us see, what is a good moment? I think we jump a couple months forward, maybe 3 or 4 months, as we get like a couple scenes of everybody interacting. Maybe we get a scene of our little pod here having dinner together at some point, sort of, and at some point during those 3 or 4 months, they formalize themselves as a pack, as a unit together. Whether or not they're always together, they do have that connection. And I think what happens, the scene, high energy, create the platform. The GM will create the platform describing where and when the scenes will occur. The platform is where you describe the environment. Yeah. So, let me see. Are there two characters who would like to have a scene together?
I don't know about like character dynamics necessarily, but I wonder if there are moments that or like places that we want to like zoom in on.
Yeah.
Because we saw a teeny bit of what it's like up in the stew pot and down in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really see anything in the Crown yet.
Right.
We haven't seen what life is like at the farms.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
I was muted, but I was asking Kevin. I was like, I actually want to like know. Bring up the farms as a good example, or like all these different places. But like, is there an inciting incident that's happening soon, like something that might need one of us to show up?
That's the thing. I think the people involved in the scene describe the inciting incident.
Okay.
Yeah, that we create the tilt, and then
I just
person
describe
creates the
where.
question.
So I think the
Oh, I
farms
thought it
are an
was
interesting
the other way.
place.
Okay.
So I think the farms are an interesting place to take the scene. Like we see these tiered sort of fields of sort of wheat and barley, straw. So like gold, like I think it's the time of year where it's like close to harvest. So we get like sort of tiered steps of golden fields like swaying in this gentle breeze. And we see Pedor like sort of coming and like sort of he walks over. He's dressed in much simpler clothes than we initially saw them. Because he's coming out to the fields. He knows he doesn't want to wear his dress clothes, and he's being trailed by a couple of characters. He's coming out here to inspect one of the terraformers that seems to have sort of stalled up. At least is the intention. He's trailed by a couple of some folks that we aren't familiar with from the settlement, and some folks that we are. Would anybody like to be involved in the scene in the fields?
I would probably tag along if he's
Orla?
just because I'm not sure like how many like personnel we have who are versed in like scientific equipment on barley mow. So I feel like even though it's not my specialty, if something has gone wrong with the terraformer, I'd probably be looped into that.
Right.
I feel like Sank might be here not for, delicate skills, but for they did a lot of farming with Peter, and they listen pretty well when he needs, muscle.
Yeah.
And I think the terraformer was like sort of manipulating some area of the crown, like the edge of this newly cleared forest edge of the crown and the fields, like sort of preparing that like sort of that gap for more tilling and plowing things. Like the terraformer was intended to do that, but it has stalled, and maybe that's why Sank is familiar with both the fields and the crown, having worked with Nassim on occasion with the lumber. So we have Orla and Sank sort of trailing behind, following those and following Pedor and some other folks to come check out this terraformer that seems to have stalled up a little bit. Who do either of you have an idea of the tilt, the inciting incident of the scene that drives some action here? Some dramatic sort of impotence.
I wonder, like, because we've mentioned that Belle was initially here to protect us from dangerous wildlife, I wonder, like, what progress in eradicating that or taming that looks like, and if that means that because we're like on the border of the crown, there might be some sort of like dangerous animal life hiding in the woods off of where we are, and if that could be a threat to us.
Right. Okay, very, very interesting. So Vel's not present, but that threat that they should have been there for is
perhaps still present.
I like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
okay. So
Perhaps
that's our tilt. There's a threat of some local wildlife, or
Yeah.
you have a specific idea, a specific piece of wildlife in mind?
Okay, well, I don't think we should go as big as a Titan crab, which is like a huge monstrous creature in this world. But maybe like a warhog, which is also somewhat dangerous, but is a bit more reasonably sized, like is probably a little closer to Sank in size, as opposed to the Titan crab, which is like, as the name suggests, pretty titanic.
Right. Yeah. So for those at home, we're looking at the core rulebook. Warhogs are a cross between Terran rhinoceros and armored beaver. These are huge herbivores that have reinforced bone plates at the front of their head, which allow them to knock down coral trees. After chewing off the mossy coating, they haul the fallen calcite lumber to form crude fortified nests for their young. They are known to charge at Pulvan predators, Ursan researchers, and even small vehicles who threaten their nests.
Yeah, so I think it's not even like they're not like necessarily an overly aggressive thing, but maybe something that was happening here, maybe something with the terraformer messed something up, or maybe
the terraformer got a little bit too close for their comfort.
Yeah. And then there's the question of like, would they charge the terraformer or would they charge Sank? Which both would suck. One would suck more than the other though, because I'm not attached to the terraformer.
Oh.
I'm not attached to it.
And Dominique has come up with the general idea for the tilt. Jess, do you have an idea for a question? Something that explain what you would like to discover during play?
Like, I try to think of like how specific a question needs to be in this case. Is it like, I'm kind of curious to see, like, I'm both curious of like the tilt that Dominique has already provided, but also the side story and question it provides of like, what happens when the person who's supposed to be protecting the community isn't there in a time of, you know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested in that question.
Yeah. Very okay.
I like that.
If that makes sense. If that's okay.
No, yeah. So we've got the tilt of a threat from local wildlife, and what happens when the person who's responsible for protecting the community isn't protecting the community,
Yeah.
isn't holding up their end of the bargain.
Going into this, maybe it'll be better to play and find out, but I sort of wonder like how like fighty is Sank. Like you have the, like you mentioned that you have scars from like prior fights with other Ursa. So I wonder like are you gonna hop up and defend us? Like what, are we in trouble?
I guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah, just because
We're gonna find out,
I
yeah.
feel like Orla is not
Yeah.
very fighty.
Yeah.
Technically, you do have like
Yeah.
your Ursan traits.
Yeah,
Kinda
I
give you a little
do.
bit.
I do. I have as an Ursa, I have an intimidation, strength, family, and then of course I have unbearable puns.
Unbearable puns.
Which we can't forget. And I think actually one of my beliefs is about defending, right? So
Yeah,
that's
which we're totally metagaming, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, but
just
it's
something that we're
No, I
doing.
think this game is supposed to allow you to craft scenes that you want to explore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because we have our two actors in this scene, we also have our audience, which I think will be defaulting to Viditya and Simon here. As audience, if your character is not in the scene, you fill the role of audience. In these scenes, you fill a supporting role and watch the action with purpose. You have three major responsibilities. Support, you portray side characters either within or beyond the settlement. Roleplay these characters from the children playing in the wreckage of a fallen Hulk to the elderly mechanic. Make the setting feel real. If a conflict is ever triggered with one of these side characters, the GM will take over. Inquire. During conflicts, players get to declare which traits they believe would help them in the conflict. If it isn't clear how it's relevant, ask them to explain how it helped them in a similar situation in the past. If they use the belter in a brawl, give them a chance to describe their 0G bar fights on Quelcris Station. They write it in as a fourth option associated with that trait that is available going forward. And judge. Insight represents the accumulated wisdom, experience, and narrative influence that you may gain by confirming or refuting your beliefs. As the audience, you judge whether that has occurred. Confirming beliefs occurs when a character encounters evidence that supports their belief. Refuting beliefs occurs when a character encounters evidence that contradicts their beliefs. If either has happened in a scene, tell that player to mark a point on their insight track. All clear on the responsibilities of audience, and you can reference those in the quick start on page 8.
Oh, that's what you're reading it from. I'm like, oh, this is a lot. I'm in the core book, but yeah,
In
I'm
the core
following
book,
along.
it's on
138.
130, 131, yeah.
Oh, it's 131. The
131 for the specifics, and then the elaborated
Yeah.
details are on page 138.
okay, cool. So, do we have to declare who we are right now as an audience, or can we chime in when we need to?
I believe, let me see.
I may have
It
just.
seemed to me that we could just drop in when needed.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I just
I
wanted
think
to
so.
make sure.
If the
Okay.
character,
Just
if the
jump in.
player needs someone to argue with, then we become
We become
someone who
those.
they argue with.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
if it becomes like serious conflict, then I take over for like the mechanical dice stuff. If that comes up, we'll get into that.
Sounds great.
So as like sort of the camera fades back in over these sort of Elysium like fields of barley, and we see this large hulking mechanized sort of tractor. Almost, it looks like a tractor. It's got like it's down, dug into the dirt a bit. It should be like hovering over the little ground a little, but it's stalled. It's down. It looks like, I think we see some pretty big gouges in the engine as y'all approach with Pedor. But before you had seen the Titan in the distance, I think before your characters see it, are y'all talking? Or are you just like walking, business only, eyes forward?
Seg feels like somebody who small talks a lot, right?
Yeah.
I'm on all fours. I'm on all my feetsies. And I'm definitely walking alongside Orla, and I think when I'm down like this, you know, I'm probably definitely not up to your full height, because and so I probably have to like turn and like look up at you and be like, I'm glad you came out. I haven't gotten to hang out with you much lately.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to do my part. But I also think, like, out of character, that I would be like trying to keep you engaged so that you wouldn't have to engage with Piotr, just because I know that you have like that, like we established that you have a history with him, that he is like not the nicest to you.
No.
So I feel like I feel like even if I might not normally go for small talk, and like remains to be seen, I'm not sure if Orla is the kind of person to make small talk, I would be like chatting with you just to like keep you from being pulled into an interaction with him.
So how are the fish?
Well, we, made some progress with the eel issue we were having. So that's been pretty nice. There was a bit of, let's see, what else interesting has happened? We've had some breakthroughs with selective breeding. We bred some really big fish that look kind of like trout. In the stew pot, and those will be ready to harvest in a couple weeks or so. So, food for the community.
That's good.
How's
nice.
scavenging?
It's all right. I mean, it's mostly, looking through the same stuff and hoping to find new things.
Well, that sounds like, I guess it is just the same stuff every day, huh?
Well, yeah, but it's pretty big, so there's a lot of stuff. And then sometimes, stuff was covered, and then you uncover it, and then new stuff.
What's the coolest thing you found lately?
I found, like, part of a table that looks like it might have like had some games on it, but I don't really know for sure. But like there was like maps, and there wasn't any maps I knew.
That's exciting.
Ooh.
I see you making faces at me.
Board games.
Yeah. That was, but that's not really the useful stuff I'm supposed to bring back, but it was interesting,
Yeah, and I mean, stuff doesn't have to be useful to be fun. And sometimes it's the fun stuff that makes it, that makes it more worth it.
Oh, I now feel like Sank has a collection of non-useful, like, items that she has collected.
Totally. Yeah.
100%.
Because if it's
It only
useful, she,
collects
like, gives it off
D4s.
to the community, but if it's not useful, she just keeps it.
Yeah. or gifts it, right? Like it seems like you also like, because you gave something to Vel, and it's like,
It's true.
hey,
I did give
found
you
this
junk,
thing, and
didn't
I don't know.
It made me think of you. It was metal. It was the same color as your spacesuit, and one of the parts looked like a battery, and you need those.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, this is utter junk, but thanks.
You're welcome.
I wonder now, like, where does Sync live that you have, like, all this, like, accumulated stuff? And, like, where do you keep all this stuff?
In my cave? I don't think I literally live in a cave.
My cave.
I don't live in a cave, but I think I've definitely, like, my room is probably kind of cave-like. No, like, but it's like filled up with stuff, and then there's like a central, like, comfy space. So it's definitely like surrounded in things. So I'm in a regular-ish room, but
Mm-hmm.
It's just lots of stuff.
with lots of stuff. Like, so there's definitely stuff like hanging from the ceiling. There's like jangly things, and there's
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I think as the conversation goes on, you proceed a little bit, and then you do get up to the terraformer, and then you're able to expect. You see, like, it's clearly some wildlife damage. Orla might be able to identify exactly what caused the damage due to, like, probable size and location, things like that. But you get to work on it, and I think we get a shot of, like, from the crab's perspective, or no, not the crab. Sorry, the where was it? I had it. Yes, the
Warhog?
boar.
Warthog.
Yes.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Where the warhog, we get it from its perspective, like very sort of like a fisheye lens almost, and like we hear like the breathing and things as it approaches from out this copse of trees, and we see it. It's looking at like Orla, as Orla is like sort of manipulating the terraformer, being a little bit like closest to an engineer that might be available at the time, and just looks at Sank as Sank. What is Sank up to while Orla is like sort of working on the terraformer?
If there's anything that needs to be moved, then Sank would probably be moving it, but if not, Sank is looking over Orla's shoulder, pretending she knows what's happening. Just like, like kind of like standing there like, but like she would not know the like very highly technical stuff.
So we probably see like Sank pulling off this like paneling and setting it aside, and then looking over Orla's shoulder, and I think we hear the heavy breathing and sniffing get like a little bit more labored, and then we see it like quickly moving forward. Then we cut to like a normal above shot, and we see this large like bony carapace creature charging out from the woods, and one of the others of the community that's there, maybe Peter, yells like, "Watch out!
Watch out!"
Watch
Yeah.
out. Oh no. I wonder, like, would Orla have like a knife or anything?
Oh,
I'd probably
Would
have
you?
a small knife. I'd probably have a small
like a
knife.
tranquilizer.
well,
I'm imagining like a switchblade, but less illegal.
switchblades don't have to be illegal on
Not in space."
in space.
I'm trying to think, like, there is a lot of either
Or like a utility knife.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of like science, or even just living on a farm. Like literally, I used to live on a farm, and I always had a knife on me because like
Yeah.
you have to cut twine, you have to
utility
cut bales,
tool.
you know what I mean? Like there's so much stuff you have to.
I'd probably have some sort of like folding utility knife in like a in a accessible pocket or something.
Mm-hmm. It's utility, and it's like it'd probably be good for self-defense against another person, but in this
probably
case,
not against. But I think what I would do when Piotr yells "Watch out!" I think I would drop what I was doing and grab my knife, because that's like my response to like some sort of danger.
Mm-hmm. What is
to say that there's one of these farmers is in the path of the boar.
Oh yeah.
Like there's someone who's like been trying to investigate the area and doesn't realize like, oh, I'm really heading the clouds. Oh my god, this thing's barreling down on me. And so it's just like panicking, frozen with fear.
Ugh.
What's Sank's like sort of
Ooh.
instinctual response to hearing "watch out" and like seeing this beast coming out of the wild?
I think Sank's reaction would be to look to Orla, because Sank does not act first. Like, that's not what Sank does. So I think, but seeing Orla whip out a knife, I think that's when Sank would stand up as tall as like she could and like look in the direction that Orla is looking, to identify like what is happening.
Okay,
So I think it's like it goes from like quite small to suddenly like massive.
Does anyone do anything to help this poor farmer? Or is the farmer the sacrificial lamb?
I don't think I
For the
can
scene.
do anything at this point. I think given my reaction time and getting the knife out, I'm spoken for.
Huh. Oh no.
Yeah,
I
I
mean-
think once again, I think Sank's reaction is kind of watch based on Orla, like get up and then like probably shuffle up to be like beside Orla, but not past that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, farmer. Like,
You know, I was typing out in our Zoom to ask, but like, let's make this explicit. Is seriously injuring or killing this farmer okay with everybody at the table or fictional virtual table?
Yeah.
Or would we rather avoid that? Okay. Jess, thoughts?
yeah.
Okay.
I think
so
that's fair in this very harsh environment we are in.
And I think it leans into the question of like what happens when the defender is not there to defend.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
People get
So-
hurt.
Can I say it's a belter who's like not nearly as tall as Cadenza. Like 6 feet.
Meager 6.
Much shorter, right?
Cadenza's just Slenderman.
But like, yeah, like obviously like uncomfortable on the planet, just having a hard time. His name is Burton, and he's like just looking up, staring wide-eyed at the boar, like can't do anything, just paralyzed with fear. And like, if everyone's cool with it, maybe just like when he realizes I can't do anything, like looks like just a hair at Sank and Orla and it just like mouths help and then gets crushed
Oh.
before he can finish
Poor
whatever he's gonna say.
man.
God.
I
We
think
don't- yeah.
I think at that, like I think that is when like you asked what like Sank's instincts are, because like as an Ursa I do have transition the scene over to the sheets and then
Well, that's I think what it doesn't. We don't get into the gore of it. It's not like a big bloody thing. It's very much like they're on screen, and then they get pushed off like by some CGI thing in the show. Like they get pushed off screen, and like we get a frame or two of just the empty like frame of like,
Yeah.
and then it goes back to like being the idyllic sort of scene to like contrast that violence. And like we never like cut back and focus on the body at the moment, but the boar is still a threat.
yeah.
And Sank has a reaction.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, did it knock them over? Did it knock them off the steps? Because I was gonna say, like, Sank's reaction at that point would to go running forward and put their body over the belt. You know what I mean? Like, stand over them if they're still there. But if they're gone, then, like, I guess they would just charge.
We're kind of on these steps, right?
Yeah, so they might
like,
go down. They might fall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's
so,
it is the impact, and then Burton goes.
Yeah.
Yeet.
Yeah. So then I think Sank just probably bounds for goes from full standing to back on all fours and goes charging forward and just roars to try and like get this thing to back off.
Yeah, to drive it off to through like fear and instinct.
Yeah.
I think if that's in your intention, I think it's not interesting to like fight it out, but like yeah, because we already have a consequence to the scene, and I think it is driven off. Like maybe it takes a couple of moments, but like we're gonna glaze past that a little bit and like get to the aftermath of the scene. Like we see that everybody's like still kind of got their hackles up, but like the scene is obviously safe. Like people are still looking out, but like there's no clear and present danger anymore, and somebody's like covered up the body, sort of tastefully. They're calling. Somebody's got sent a runner to get the doc.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know what's happened, but they still want the doc to be present and everything. And I think somebody's also went and they told them also to get Vel. But y'all are Orla, Sank, Pedor. They are here along with some others that are sort of still holding down the area. What's
Are
the
we
discussion?
still trying to recover this terraformer, or are we giving up on that?
I think at this point that's like put a pin in that. And
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if we're still trying to get like what time of day is it, and if we're trying to like get this terraformer fixed before sundown, then maybe I'm like just gonna double down on working because that's the most useful thing I can do right now.
like I think it's the case that like Pedor isn't like going to press it, but if that's what Orla's comfortable with, nobody's going to stop Orla.
Yeah, I think Orla is like, God damn it, I'm gonna fix this terraformer. That's what we came here to do, and someone died for it, so we might as well get it done.
That makes sense.
Is this like kind of like a common, not common, but like, is this a mindset that Orla goes into pretty frequently, where it's like, okay, something happened, but like I find solace in just working on a task? Or
so yeah, I think I feel comfortable calling that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm also curious to know, as we kind of, I think, come to maybe a conflict in the scene, like how Sank's belief that she can build defenses against anything is going to pan out in this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is negatively affected here because I think Gesundheit. I think like after Sank does finally manage to drive this off, as there's that flurry of like, you know, folks calling back to Cadenza to get a doctor here, Vel to get someone like to guard us, as that flurry is happening, and then Orla goes right into like, well dang it, I'm like working on this now. I think like Sank is now like pacing like on all fours, like full pacing and just like growling, like is very upset that she didn't stop this from happening and is now just like pacing and is probably in like instinct mode, and if anything moves too quickly is like looking at it like very animalistically, kind of feral.
Ooh, okay.
Do Sank and Orla, do they sort of debrief at all? Do they confer with one another? Y'all are close, or is this something that y'all know is like to give each other space in this kind of moment? Not like in like general tension, like literally. Exactly.
I feel like I would. I feel like I would notice that that Sank is upset and would like understand why, like the very real and valid reasons why she's upset. But I would also be very zeroed in on feeling like I'm doing the one thing that I can control that will maybe make this worth it. So like, I feel like I'm more like address the terraformer and then maybe have the like Black Widow Hulk moment with Sank where I'm like, calm down. But like, we'll get to that.
Yeah. And then, like I said, because Sank like was already on edge and then is feeding off of like Orla doing like, I'm doing what I need to do right now, and everyone else is kind of like defensive energy. That's why like Sank is probably in fact pacing close to Orla, like is in fact probably like kind of protectively is just tracing around where Orla is, and like might not, even if like one of the farmers or something tries to come close, might not let them.
is that interaction that you sort of intimated towards something you want to interrogate now, or is that something you would like to interrogate at a later date in another scene?
The question?
Yeah. If you feel like this is a good place to bring the scene to a close, we can sort of transition and like sort of dovetail into like another scene related.
I sort of wonder what will happen when Vel and Cadenza show up, but I think that that might indicate a different scene if it changes the question.
I think so, because I think then no longer. I think the answer of what happens when the defender is not here to defend against
people die, bad things happen.
So remind me mechanically, if we're pushing a belief, right? How does that work, right? Like because it's again like thinking about Sinks, like I can build defenses against anything. Mechanically, like what happens if like a belief is pushed or to change it or something?
I think I don't think that in this moment that there's a conflict of belief between two characters. I think it's just, but like as the audience, you do have the responsibility and like mechanics to judge insight, in which confirming beliefs occurs when a character encounters evidence that supports their belief, and refuting beliefs occurs when a character encounters evidence that contradicts their belief. If either has occurred in a scene, tell that player to mark a point on their insight track.
Okay. I think like maybe as like crowds are forming, but like as like other farmers and like other people who are trying to get stuff forming, you might hear like you hear like two people kind of like whispering to each other almost angrily, like it's like, what happened? It's like, oh, you know, like this is what happened. It's like, was the Urson here the whole time? Like, didn't they, like, why didn't they step in? And it's like, I don't know. You know, and like, there's just kind of that whispering of like, well, like, what's the, this may be too harsh to like tell me of this, but it's like, what's the point?
I think
what's
that's
the point?
great.
What's the point of an Urson being here if they can't even help you against it? If like they can't even defend you against them, you know? And stuff like that. So like, and
Can I
think
take that point and push it further?
Yeah, go ahead.
With everyone's consent. What if Burton's partner shows up?
Yeah, with maybe that's in the next scene when the Doc and Vel show up. Maybe they weren't there at the moment, but
I mean, I don't want to angle to put Cadenza into the scene, but I think the in my mind, I think would be interesting and dramatic to have Burton's partner show up and like run up to everyone that was there in the moment and just start yelling like, "How could you let this happen? Why didn't you do anything?"
Yeah. Yeah, does one of you want to sort of take up that role as Burton's partner?
I mean, I pitched it, so I can do that. So maybe she's a Terran, kind of let's say light skin, dark hair, kind of like one of the loggers.
Yeah,
that's what she does. And she's just like she's off screen down by the body and like storms up with like a hot red face and just starts like throwing her hands around wildly like, he's dead. He's dead because you just stood there. None of you did anything. You came out here to fix this machine, and this creature, this thing comes out of the woods and barrels him off a cliff. And you didn't do anything? You're supposed to protect people. We have one soldier with a suit who's protecting us, and even they're not around? What is the point of any of this? How could you let this happen? How could you let him die?
I think Pedor like comes to interject.
Yeah.
Well, like in a futile way. He's like, let's take a deep breath, and like that's not to interrupt the conflict, but just to sort of remind everyone that Pedor is there and like engaging.
Yeah, and I think like the other people who are there, like the two other people, like are trying to slink away. Like I are still like they shut up and then are trying to move out of frame, basically.
I imagine Orla is being like under the terraformer, like a mechanic, like under a car, and would like slide out from under the terraformer and like be like ready to jump in, but not quite jumping in yet. I also think this will be home with my belief that anger is bad. Don't be angry.
Okay.
Was sort of the outburst, Simon, of Burton's partner, was it directed at more at Sank, since Sank is like sort of there and not?
I think it's
like,
Sank, right?
Okay.
Because maybe she sees Sank as like a big person, right?
Yeah.
We'll call her Ashley, I guess. So she's like starting to get up in Sank's face, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like you're here. You're this big, strong Ursa. You're supposed to protect us. When our military detachment isn't here, and you just let him die, and then turns around when Orla slides out from under the terraformer and like jabs a finger, and his body's barely cold, and you're fixing things, you're taking things apart when we should all be remembering him.
I'm gonna stop you there because I understand that you're really, really going through a lot right now. I cannot even comprehend the depth of what you're going through. That said, you becoming angry with me and becoming angry with Sank is not going to fix anything in the situation. And I would like for you to know that your husband died trying to fix this terraformer. I am continuing in that work and trying to fix the terraformer so that the thing that we came here to do will have been done, so that his death will have been for something. Can you imagine how much worse it would feel if your husband died trying to fix this terraformer and then it remained broken and we never fixed it and we never got this piece of vital equipment back for our community?
So you're like doubling down on it.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a conflict between. It's become a conflict between Orla and Ashley. So this is where,
conflict. Damn, Orla.
Yeah.
So in moments in which a PC and an NPC come into conflict mechanically, the GM takes over responsibility of the NPC. And in those scenes, we are going to do a couple things in actor scenes. If your character's in the scene, you can describe the actions and speak in their voice, make bold declarations, and defend your beliefs while confronting your beliefs of your companions. Anything you declare is considered to be true unless someone triggers a conflict. When a conflict is triggered, you use dice to help determine who gets their way. In a conflict, first, we set our goals as two people in conflict declare what they want to happen. If no one backs down or negotiates a compromise, set the stakes for the conflict. 2, roll the dice. If you are a player in a conflict, you roll 1 die, plus 1 die per relevant trait, and plus 1 per relevant conviction you uphold. As new characters, you don't have any convictions just yet. The GM will roll 2 to 8 dice depending on the nature of the opposition. Count up their totals, ignoring any dice which you have results equal or lower to your strain. And if you have 2 strain, for example, you wouldn't add any 1s or 2s to your rolled total. In the case of a tie, the first person to mark a point of strain wins. Otherwise, the GM decides the outcome. If your character is losing a conflict, players can choose to gain a point of strain, to re-roll any or all of your dice. If another character offers tangible assistance, they can take that strain instead. Resolve the outcome, determining which side achieves their goal, The victor narrates what happens next in the fiction based on the goal you had already established. If you win the conflict, you gain a point of strain to represent the price of victory. This represents the emotional and physical toll associated with getting your way. When you finish resolving a conflict, return to free role playing. You may trigger additional conflicts in the scene or close the scene if the question has been answered.
Like my goal for the conflict is for Ashley to stop being so angry at my friend and also at me. But like, I think mostly just like stop being angry. Anger is not a productive emotion. Your anger is not going to get you anywhere. Stop being heckin' angry is my goal.
Yeah, Sync definitely went from being like really big to like making herself as small as possible right now. She's definitely like shrunk like down, like. And when Orla comes out, like Sync might even go behind Orla.
Oh.
So
Okay.
we have like a 5'5" Terran human with a giant bear alien hiding behind them.
Yeah, like not hidden at all, but trying so hard to like make herself small and hide behind you.
Oh no. Okay.
Just checking opposition here.
So do I just start counting up traits that I have that would? So I get the one.
You start with one.
I get the one. I have debate
I should say
twice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Debate
Double
me, coward.
debate.
Fight me in the marketplace of ideas.
I should clarify. I believe, to my understanding, Ashley's goal, Simon, correct me if I'm sort of off base, is for Orla directly and then sort of tangentially Sync to take responsibility for what happened. Take responsibility for like.
Yeah, I think it's for someone to take responsibility.
Someone. Okay.
Yeah. Like, however this pans out, I think Ashley's ultimately going to be like, well, how are we going to stop other people from dying?
Yeah.
Because Vel can't be everywhere, and people are not always going to step up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the one die that I get just for forgetting, and then debate twice, and then I would like to argue a case for I'm not sure, like I'm not necessarily using the trait, but I'm using skills that I would have gained by virtue of the backstory that makes this trait make sense, which I have the trait teaching, and I feel like in an educational environment you deal with people's feelings a lot. So I feel like I'd be good at like talking through people's emotions in ways that seem convincing but not condescending. It's not a skill I choose to use often, but it's a skill that I have.
That's interesting. I would like to see that in play.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm good.
I'm
With
just arguing for as many dice as possible. So that gives me
Of
4
course.
dice.
Oh yeah, that's the point. Like
Yeah.
the,
and then we get to say no.
You're also both Terran too. Do you think that your cultural connection?
Maybe,
Makes
and
sense.
I have the culture die from being Terran, so I can throw that one in.
Like you're kind of appealing to the way that both of you would think about like
Yeah.
pragmatics and
That we have similar vocabulary, at least, if not the
Yeah.
same. Even if we don't have the same understanding of philosophy, we have the same vocabulary that we use to understand philosophy.
Yeah. How many dice is
What
that?
else? That is 5.
Gotcha. And as a GM controlling an NPC, I sort of am building a pool of d6s to roll against you, and a vector of threat dice and vector dice. And for those, it's got a couple different tiers. If you have the book, you can look at it on PDF page 162, proper page 161. And for threat dice, I believe the threat is 1 if a physical property or social standing are at stake. Add 1 die to your pool. Moments of corruption cannot be triggered in this conflict. I think social standing is at stake. I don't think a group of people are necessarily in danger at this point. Like, it is in like the more esoteric sense. Like, we don't have maybe enough defense. So I think maybe that is relevant. But that's not like direct danger. That's more of a sort of, this is a thing we need to address. It's not like immediate, this thing is threatening me. Let's see. What's a threat? If a small group of people are in danger, that's one. violence could happen, what if Sync fall? Would
Kind of feels like one.
It feels
Yeah,
it feels like
it's
a one to me.
Yeah,
it feels like
I mean,
one.
like
Yeah,
it could. No,
it feels a little needly to argue that it's a small group is in danger at this point.
Yeah. And like we're
Okay.
specifically talking about the threat of like the conflict at hand, not like the greater problem. Because if it's like, you know, this thing is out there and you're not doing anything about it is different than like, why didn't you do anything to help my Okay.
This is definitely much more the social and the argument
This
of
is
what's happening right now than it
interpersonal
is.
conflict.
Yeah.
And I can see like
like
a failure can lead to like Orla being in bad social standing later on, or like the two of them being that's more than
because the victory condition is that Orla takes responsibility, and that like might make them look worse in the eyes of the community.
Okay.
It's like I'm already a jackass. Like, what's the worst that could happen?
And then Vector is in regards to mimetic chaos. So I believe this is Vector 1. There is no clear sign of the song or tormenta, and one die to your pool. Moments of corruption cannot be triggered in this conflict. If individuals are only vulnerable to infection, this only counts as Vector 1. Yes, so it's only Vector 1. There's no clear sign of song. This is just natural life threatening and interpersonal conflict. So Ashley is just rolling 2 dice.
Makes sense.
interesting. Okay, yeah. I didn't read this section actually.
Yeah, and there's no strain, because if you had strain, you had to take dice off, right? So that's
but you'll get strain as if you win the conflict.
Right.
Oh.
Ooh.
So we have built our pools, and now we're going to roll off.
I just roll. All right, I'm rolling. See if all 5 dice will stay on the table.
Come on, dice.
Chances are, odds are very high in your favor.
And then I just count them all up.
Yes, you don't have any strain, so you don't have to mark any off.
Okay, that is 6, 12, 15, 17.
Wow.
Ashley got snake eyes.
Whoa!
That is a big old 2.
Harsh.
Ashley is speaking from emotion, and like it's very clear to everyone else around. Like Pedor is like sort of interposing himself, but like she is still making a scene, and like not unreasonably so. Her partner has just died. Like, but she is like sort of, I think in the general sort of in everybody's eyes around, like she is falsely assigning blame. Like it's natural life. It was an accident. All Orla really had was a small knife. Like it was like what like kind of the murmur is around. And Pitor is like sort of, I think Pitor like kind of puts Ashley in like a hug, both to like keep her like almost like a swaddle motion, but also make sure she doesn't like get out of hand and like do anything super drastic. So in case that
then I feel like with that, I would immediately, because I have made my point about being pragmatic, but just get back to fixing the freaking terraformer, because we still need to fix the terraformer before sundown, and I am determined.
Oh.
So as we resolve the outcome, determine which side achieves their goal, clearly Orla. The victor narrates what happens next in the fiction based on the goal you had already established. You get back to fixing the terraformer.
Yeah.
If you win the conflict, you gain a point of strain to represent the price of victory.
Okay.
This represents emotional or physical toil associated with getting your way.
How? Oh, I see. Okay.
I
was going to ask, how do I indicate that on the character keeper that we
There's
have?
a little checkbox.
Yeah. I was trying to click on the dice icon itself, and it, like, it's not clickable.
The checkbox
so I was like,
below.
what are you?
It would have been real slick if I could have done that. But to give us all a quick refresher on that, as we increase the amount of strain that we have, it increases from the 1 up to the 6, and that causes us to remove those indicated dice from our dice pools.
Yeah.
Which is a super cool mechanic that I'm excited to play with.
Yeah,
I've never played
like
anything
that.
that does that before.
So if you had 4 stress, you would remove any resulting die that were 4 and under.
Right.
That's super. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it's really,
so
really
only
interesting.
5s and 6s would provide you any benefit.
Any hits, right?
Oh, it's
Very
so
cool.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's so
Because that's
tough.
you like
I like
not
that
be
a
able
lot.
to argue your point as well.
Yeah.
Because
What
you
are
can
the
argue so much.
What are the conditions under which you clear strain?
I marked those on the sheet as well. So you mark
Oh,
strain
you did.
when
Holy
you
heck.
win, but you can also choose if you're going to lose a conflict. You can choose to mark a strain to re-roll all of your dice.
Okay.
You clear it when you have a moment of grief or a moment of discovery.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. I understand now. I was like just misreading that section of the character keeper entirely, and now I understand what words mean.
And those milestones for moments are the green and red boxes
Okay.
on the inside track.
I have a question about the outcome of the scene. So
Yes.
as Orla kind of moves back and goes back to working, like what does Sank look like as
How
you are
dare
now
you.
like revealed? Because you said you were like
dare you.
hiding behind
Yeah.
Orla, so it's like suddenly you are revealed in the situation.
I was hoping you wouldn't do
Doing
that.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, Sank is definitely I don't know, what does a sad bear sound like? Like Sank is definitely probably like a sad puppy almost does, like a lay down, like just as close, literally as close as she can get to Orla is as where she is right now. She's laying down and she's watching the situation unfold, but she's also like still very cognizantly watching out, like looking at the surrounding for any threat, but she's very sad.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah, not only did someone get yeeted right in front of you, but you also got blamed for the yeeting. You were having a hard day, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sank is just like cause like it's very fair. It's very fair of Ashley to be like, you know, why did no one do anything? And then look at the beefiest person there. But to Sank was like, I just came out to like move stuff. Like I don't know. Like like no one told me
I just came to help and I'm feeling so attacked.
Oh, awful thing. No, wrong words. I'm feeling attacked right now. My husband just got yeeted off the ledge. I like to I just like to imagine as like as the unless you had a way you wanted to close out the scene that like you just hear
I've got a small thing, but
the stomping of the power armor like running down towards as like Val finally gets to the scene. Like barreling through, like this is power armor, right? So it's like he's like finally there.
Like an Iron Man suit.
Yeah. I don't want him to like do anything in the scene. I just think that like it's poignant to have like all of this happen
absolutely.
and then finally the soldier shows up at the very end.
What I miss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that might be of the scene, the closing shot. Yeah. All right. And I think that is our episode for this week.
Ooh.
We did it.
That got intense.
Yeah.
It did get intense.
Good.
I'm glad.
Good
I'm
stuff,
very
y'all.
happy that we got to the intensity.
Yeah. Like we gave the folks what they paid for. We paid off the price of admission.
Woof.
Let's see. I think what we're gonna do is start outros so that we end with Jess going in the same order. We're gonna start with Viditya. Tell us who you are, what you do, where we can find you.
Oh my god, 1 second. I was trying to pull up some links that I forgot to pull up before. But hi, yeah, I'm Viditya. I can be found at Viditya Valetti on Twitter. I'm a game designer and other wonderful stuff. So you can find my games at vidityavaletti.itch.io. You can follow me on Twitch. I'm also a streamer. I stream things. I do various community stuff and just play games. I have like a semi-weekly show called Our Craft, which is just like a designer hangout where we play Minecraft and talk about games. But you can also, if you want to support some things that I'm doing currently, me and somebody else on stream are, what is it? Oh, whoops, I forgot that I can't put a link. My bad. Where
I was literally adding you.
I'm a stretch goal on a Kickstarter that's happening right now called The House Doesn't Always Win. So it's a very cool game about revolution and punching up and getting rid of oppressors that uses really cool cards. So you should check it out there. And then also I'm running a game jam that I forgot to grab the link for, which is just so you missed a game jam. And it's starting in a few days, like by the end of the week. It's just an excuse to make games. So I wanted to shout that out. Follow me on Twitter. I'll talk about that later. So yeah, that's me.
And then we have, let me scroll all the way back up to the very top of our chat. Simon, who are you? What do you do? Where we find you?
It's me, Simon. You can find me on Twitter at Lucha Libris. I've written and published tabletop role-playing games. You can check them out at colorspraygames.itch.io. I'm a professional game master for Magpie Games. If you go to magpiegames.com/curated-play, you can find out how you can get linked up with me or many other fantastic GMs playing game Masks, Bluebeard's Bride, or the upcoming Root role-playing game, which I'm doing a little bit of writing for, which is pretty cool. I am also a voice actor for the Penumbra Podcast, which is a queer sci-fi and fantasy audio drama. If you want to see yourself represented in stories, that's at the Penumbra Pod on Twitter, thepenumbrapodcast.com, available wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. I'm also a regular cast member on twitch.tv/allnerdshere. If you come back on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern, we play City of Mist, and Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, we play Free from the Yoke, a more post-colonial fantasy hack of the game with an all-BIMPOC cast, including Kevin and Viditya. So I really would love to see you in chat. Come check it out. We think it's a great show.
Rad.
Heck yeah.
Am I next?
Yes, and we have Dominique.
Okay, cool. I just had to get ready for self-promo.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at self-promo.
God.
Anyway, I'm Dominique. You can find me on Twitter at DomSDicky. All my cool shit is on Twitter. If I'm doing it, I'm going to tweet about it. You can also find me at dominiquedicky.com, and my most recent game, which is called Trial. It's about race in the criminal justice system. Can be found at domsdicky.itch.io. I would really appreciate y'all checking it out. I worked really hard on it. I'm also a stretch goal writer on The House Doesn't Always Win, which is currently funding on Kickstarter. I think that's everything. Okay, I'm done now. Goodbye.
And we have me. I'm Kevin. You can unfollow me on all the socials. You can block and report me on Twitter /knit_knack. And you can find my games at Win Conditions. That's NGUIEN conditions.itch.io, including a brand new small hack of Starjet that is based on our Free from the Yoke game, Haven's Claim, where in which you play different factions trying to kill all the other factions, take over this land that you've recently reclaimed from colonizers. And yep, you can find me on that show. You can reach out to the dude who's doing the Kickstarter that Viditya and Dominique are on and let them know that I would be really cool to work on that. Because that looks like a great project. And that is me. And we have Jess, our lovely host.
Hi. Yes, me. My name is Jess. This is my channel. If you made it here, you already did it. You found me. Good job. Hit the follow button. We do lots of cool stuff like this. We do a wide variety of video games and tabletop role-playing games here. So come hang out with us anytime. I'm a member of the Rainbow Arcade, an all LGBTQIA+ stream team that focuses on inclusivity and welcoming spaces and running cool events and fundraisers. So we do lots of that sort of stuff here. I just want to say a quick thank you, of course, to Roll20 for the Spotlight program. A big thank you to Genesis of Legend Publishing, who makes this game. Y'all go check out this game. There is a quick start guide, which I have linked, which is in my tweets, and I need to relink it in here. But also, hey, go follow me on YouTube, and then you can watch if you missed any of this, or if you didn't get to see our heckin' awesome session 0. Go check out my YouTube. It's all cleaned up and posted nice and clean on there. And I have links for all these cool people down below. I have links for the game and where you can get it. Check it out, pick it up, do your own cool heckin' stories, be your own sad bear, I guess. All that, all that good stuff. Yeah, thanks to all you for playing. And then there was one more thing I think we wanted to do.
Yeah, it seemed I had totally forgot, and we need to resolve insight for our actors in that scene. They need to sort of address their beliefs. So after a scene, we are going to address their beliefs. Let us review the beliefs of each Sank and Orla.
Mine are that textbook knowledge is power and that anger is uncivilized.
I feel like you got some evidence relating to anger being uncivilized in that scene.
It's just
for sure.
not a productive emotion. You don't get anything out of being angry.
Yeah.
And
Do I
because you
gain
won the
insight for
argument, you
Yeah.
kind of,
Totally
I
won
think,
insight.
proved your own point. Where
Yeah.
I'm marking insight for that.
Mm-hmm. Damn, yeah, I agree.
Yay, I
I
got
don't think
insight.
that textbook knowledge factored in too much into
Not
that scene.
really.
No, it didn't.
So let us hear Sank's beliefs.
I can see either of these applying here because it went bad. So Sank's beliefs are I can build defenses against anything.
Mhm.
Oh boy. And then I am not fit to lead. Oh boy. Both of those feel pretty, I don't know.
Audience thoughts? Would you like to dial in
Yeah.
and submit your votes for this poll to decide the next American Idol?
I think I am not fit to lead was definitely kind of confirmed.
Yeah.
I think that being able to build defenses. Well, never mind. No.
Like I could see like I want to hear what other people think because I could honestly see reasons to either.
Yeah.
And, just to clarify, each belief that is addressed meaningfully pushes up someone's insight track by one step. So
Okay, yeah.
And it can be refuted or confirmed. That's the other
Right.
thing. So, like,
Yeah.
I think Sank might have had some unfortunate evidence about not being fit to lead because, like, rather than like proactively act, you just
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
seized up, like a lot of people would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's proof that, like, oh, you're right, I am a follower.
Yeah.
Nobody
and
told
similarly
me to do
with
it.
those defenses, like, well, we could build defenses, but we haven't. We weren't able to protect this person from this thing happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Would you like so? I think like either you confirmed I am not fit to lead, and maybe like refuted I can build defenses
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
you're like I can't do it. I think I'm like focusing more on like the personal aspect of that belief is like you're not fit to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my question is, do I check 2 insight here?
I think you
Yeah.
do.
I think
Yeah.
you do.
Oh,
gonna
that's
check both of them.
that's
You
so
got
That's
big
good.
brain
rough.
blasts.
Big fun. Yeah.
Galaxy
Into it.
brain for Sank.
Yep.
Oh,
Sink had an
boy.
experience that she was able to learn and grow from.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, near death experiences tend to do that to folks.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. I can't believe that I checked 2 because one was a confirmation and one was a like refute. Like that's
Yeah.
so interesting. Like
It worked out really well.
Yeah.
this is a cool mechanic. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
And those insights can, otherwise, if we were not at the end of the show and at the end of our time, would trigger moments of discovery and growth, which have their own functions, and which, if we would like the option, we can get into at the top of next episode, next Sunday, same time, same channel.
Mhm.
that's right.
And I think to close this out, we get a small like after credits scene, if I'm allowed to rip off a friend of mine, JR, where in which we see the sheeted form of our farmer of Barton being sort of carried away, and we get the shot like it stays on them, so we see like sort of the ground moving behind them. It changes from like sort of the field to dirt path to like sort of very cold metal floors, and we see them like cut over to on a slab, and we get a moment like where we don't see anybody on screen. We just the camera stays on that sheeted form, and off camera we hear sort of a very low toned death hymnal, sort of celebrating the life and sort of giving passing and
Ooh.
respecting the passing of this person sung in this quiet space, and it's got an echo to it being an empty lab with like echoing walls. And I think we see this body being pushed into like sort of what is otherwise a morgue slab. So it gets dark and we hear the closing, and like we hear muffled through the door of this slab singing of the hymnal, and then that is where the episode ends.
Damn,
Pretty good.
okay.
Yeah, I like that. Woof.
Thanks for joining us, y'all.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. Like Kevin said, we will be back this same channel, this same place next week. We got 2 more episodes, so don't miss out. We're gonna pack a lot of story into a little bit of time, so do come hang out with us. Thank you all. I hope you all take care out there. Stay safe. Don't sing too
Have a
many
good-
songs, I guess. Bye.
Bye.